214-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
The time to rise has been engaged. We're better, best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song. Your finest hour.
Hello and welcome to Wednesday afternoon here on Colombo and Company on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Tony Colombo here in studio with lots of company as we kick off the show. My co-host today is Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer.
Hey, yo.
Great to see you, buddy.
Good to see you again.
And also in studio, putting in some bonus time today, a little extra time, Mike Ferguson from the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. Great to see you.
I would say top of the morning to you by
Still
force
awake.
of habit, but no. Rachel's out of town. I got nothing else to do.
And well, you got a lot going on right now. We all do. It's now we're less than a week away from election day, primary election day here in the state of Missouri, which we will be all over, of course, leading up to the election, on election day, throughout election night. We're going to have special election coverage on Tuesday night starting at 7 p.m. So if you want to go somewhere that you can count on for up to the second election results, we'll be all over it on Tuesday night. So make sure you join us for that. And also, we have another event happening tomorrow morning. That's why I wanted Mike to start the show with us today, because you are going to be out and about tomorrow morning and
in God's country.
Yeah.
Yep.
And speaking of this election on Tuesday, you're going to have a ton of the folks involved.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We're Gabe and I are going to be out at PJ's Coffee in O'Fallon, right there off Route K. So really easy to find. And we've got some big names. I mean, State Rep Tony Lavasco going to be there with us. He's going to be in the 7 o'clock, and Bob Onder, running for Congress.
Yes.
Obviously, we all know Bob. He's going to be with us at 7:35, and then we're not neglecting what's happening in St. Charles County either. Joe Brazel is going to be there in the 8 o'clock hour, and Jane Pushkar from the Francis Howell School Board is going to be there. So, state and federal and local. There may be one other surprise as well. Maybe more that's happening out there. But, bottom line is it's going to be a lot of fun because we're going to be doing the show, streaming the video. Everything's going to be out there. But it's going to be great because come on out and just get a cup of coffee and hang out with us. I mean, Nick, if you can make it, come on out and literally just walk in and pull up a chair and hang out with us. And I am not opposed to at some point just asking, hey, everybody, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
Be a part of the show.
I love that.
I mean, let's just do it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We'll
So
see how many Kamala Harris fans are in O'Fallon.
Yeah,
not a lot.
Yeah, I think if the Kamala Harris fan in O'Fallon wants to come by, that person's welcome to come by
For sure.
Yeah.
White dudes for Kamala.
Yes. Well, of course. I mean, they were on the Zoom
That is
call.
the
They're fired
dumbest
up.
hat I've ever seen in my life. I think this is awesome. I think it just goes to show our dedication. And Mike, you have been particularly with local politics and local news. You've been you're always on top of it every morning, whether it's election season or not. And Nick, we talk about how important it is for politicians right now, and you would know better than anybody how important it is, especially today's day and age where people don't necessarily trust political ads as much as they used to. They don't trust the media as much as they used to. So, it's events like this, I think, that are the most important, and the things that voters want to listen to or be a part of, because you get to hear directly from the candidates. How important is it to make that connection right now?
Well, I think it's massively important. We were talking, Mike and I, before we got on air, and there's so many mistruths going on TV and on radio. And I know Vic and those guys, they had Adam Schnelting on. There have been many different reps that have come on saying, yeah, it's not true, and here's my story. And that's where I think you need to get the actual story and the response from the people. That's why I was so disappointed to see Mike Kehoe not going to any of the debates. And then when you've got people from KSDK saying, look, you guys agree to this date. We booked this well in advance. And then you're giving some presentation honoring Cory Bush and other Democrats in the city of St. Louis, rather than answering the questions. Why does Mike Kehoe have a bus that is owned by the Chinese company that he voted to allow to buy farmland?
Yeah.
And that's where I think it's so important to get the actual view and the actual stories from the candidates and not just believing a commercial.
Mike, that's exactly where I was going with this conversation, was to ask you
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, I was going to ask you specifically about the governor's race. I mean, I want to, if you have any instincts about the other races, how you're feeling about them, but I wanted to specifically ask you about the governor's race and exactly that question, because I personally think debates are extremely important, especially now for what we, for the reasons that I just laid out, that it's the best way to connect with voters, get your message to them. Voters see you personally and the candidates answering the questions that are on their mind. And I think it was a massive miss by Lieutenant Governor Kehoe to not go to those debates. How are you feeling about just the momentum of that race? I don't need a prediction unless you want to give one, but just that the momentum of the race and how much that has Kehoe skipping those debates. How much impact does that have?
And I'll even go a step further, at least in Missouri. I can't speak for other states. I think that debates in the primaries, I would argue, may even be more important than debates in the general election. Because I think by the time you get to the general, people are either Republicans or Democrats, or they lean conservative or leftist, and they've made up their mind. I think in the primaries, especially Republican primary, I think those are more important. Here's what I think is interesting is I think there's momentum in different parts of the state. Here in the St. Louis area, I think that, Jay Ashcroft and Bill Eigel have, obviously are really well known, both being from this area, especially Bill representing so much of the area, and so many other parts of the state, the agricultural areas, the rural areas, the Farm Bureau, the Cattlemen's Association, the soybean, all of these groups get out the vote a lot. So I think there's almost, I'm not going to say two Missouris, but we know that a lot of Missouri doesn't like St. Louis. It's just the fact of the matter. And, Mike Kehoe has, I think, a lot of momentum in other parts of the state that we don't see. And in other parts of the state, if you say, boy, Bill Eigel and Jay Ashcroft are running good campaigns, they go, nobody ever talks about him around here. So it really comes down to who's going to show up to vote.
Yeah. And I have I looked up some numbers because I was, really curious, and obviously this is just a fascinating, unique primary situation where the primary election in Missouri, the election that's just days away on Tuesday, is arguably more important than the general election in November. It certainly is more important when it comes to personnel, when it comes to, who are going to be in these seats, the governors, who's going to be the governor, who's going to be the lieutenant governor, secretary of state, who's going to win, and on the Democratic side, who's going to be the congressman representing District 1, between Cory Bush and Wesley Bell. So I looked up some numbers, and you just mentioned voter turnout and how important it is to vote. There's already a voter turnout issue, period, across the country, in my opinion. And primary elections, obviously, have even less. In 2020, the Missouri governor Republican primary, so the exact election that's happening on Tuesday, there were a total of 680,000 votes cast in that election. The general
just on
election,
the Republican side,
and the Republican governor primary.
Well, keep in mind, Trump was on the ballot then.
Yeah,
Trump's not going to be on the ballot next Tuesday.
Well, no, this was the primary. So this was the
but he was still on the ballot, didn't we? Had the
we had our primary in 2020. We had that back in
we had it earlier. That's right,
March, because remember there was the big kerfuffle over the RNC threatening to strip.
So just for context, 680,000 total votes in the Missouri Republican governor primary in 2020. The governor general election in 2020, 3 million. That's how many more people vote in the general. And you could have made the same argument back then that, once it was in the general, Mike Parson had the huge advantage over Nicole Galloway. So that is a just over a fifth. I mean, like that is such a small number of total votes. Now, there are probably more than that because I think at least some people have realized how important this primary is.
Hopefully.
But this is a fascinating situation where a relatively small amount of total voters are going to determine who becomes the next governor and becomes, wins a lot of these races. And when you have that low total and you're splitting it 3 ways, I mean, this is going to be a fascinating election night to watch.
And it means your vote actually weighs heavier now than it will in the general election.
I said that is so right. I said that yesterday. Like, people like to use the excuse of, oh, just one vote. What's one vote going to do? My vote. Your vote always has power, lots of power. But
unless you're in Maricopa County,
you could make you could make the argument that your vote has never been more powerful for more important races here in Missouri than it will be.
Well, that's where I think
Tuesday.
it's going to depend. Not to make a prediction, but it's going to depend on who gets their people out to the polls. And I know as of right now, you've got Bill Eigel, who in some polls is second place, very slim second place, other polls, third place. But if he can get all of those grassroots people to fire up their friends, their family, and get to the polls, I think it's really going to be a late night next Tuesday to figure out, okay, who got all of their crew to come out and vote in this primary where you're saying a fraction of the amount that actually vote in the general turn out to vote in these
that's
primaries.
the numbers from 2020. I mean, 680,000 voted in the primary and 3 million voted in the general. I mean, that's. Do
you think there's going to be any crossover?
Difference.
You think there's going to be any Democrats coming over to, because I've seen some Democrats, some trolls on social media that have the Lincoln Huff and Mike Kehoe signs on their profile.
Well, it's interesting because here's another issue. Here's another layer of the crazy cake, Mike. And I don't know if you guys have talked about this in the morning, but there are for many voters, especially in St. Louis County, but the city also, they have to make a decision. If you're a conservative voter in St. Louis County, you have to make a decision on Tuesday. If you are going to vote, which is already, a minority of people, now you have to make the decision. What's more important, voting for my congressman or voting for the governor?
Right.
Because whoever wins that Democratic primary, I personally know a lot of people that live in St. Louis County that are conservative leaning voters that desperately want to vote against Cori Bush because they can't stand them.
Right.
Can't stand her. But
could be they, them. I don't know.
Yeah. Like they're not necessarily Wesley Bell fans, but like the lesser of two.
Well, I would tell them read the 10th Amendment. And if they care about the Constitution, if they care about states' rights, vote in the Republican primary. Well, because depending upon who the governor is going to be, we can start asserting more of those states' rights back and fighting the overgrowth of the federal government. At least 2 of the candidates for governor have said that's their MO. That's where they're going to be, especially if Trump wins.
Yeah, but it's just another unique, crazy layer of this that there could be some people that, have a favorite in the governor's race that end up deciding that they want to prioritize the congressional race over the governor's race and not cast their, and make a decision to cast their vote because you can only draw either a Republican.
Yeah, you can do Republican or you can do a Democrat or one of the third parties.
You've covered elections in Missouri for decades. Have you ever? Is this the craziest primary you've ever seen?
It is for a statewide, yes.
Yeah,
the statewide, and some of the statewide offices I think are really interesting and crazy as well. But there's so much more I could say about that. But I think it is because, with Cori Bush, she evokes such emotions on people because she's such an embarrassment to the region. And so again, I mean, you think about it. I mean, Wesley Bell's votes aren't going to really be that much different than the way Cori Bush votes when she bothers to show up. But Wesley Bell's not going to be an embarrassment to the area, even if we just disagree with him. Whereas Cori Bush is a true embarrassment. Now, I'm not even going to try to predict. I mean, a lot of the polls are saying Wesley Bell is ahead, and he's ahead by outside the margin of error. But again, is more of the city going to show up where that base of vote for Cori Bush is going to be there when they're, not taking cover from white supremacist snipers on the hillside in North City or North County, like she said happened at one point? Or are the people
No, that's just
the
Trump
county
rallies.
Right, just Trump rallies.
Oh.
Yeah. And or are the people in the county going to say we're tired of this? We at least want a serious human being, and so I get the urge.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I think Nick's right. I think that if you're conservative, you're
Governor's the
Republican,
yeah.
I think you look at a governor. I think you look at lieutenant governor. I think your local, especially if you live in an area where you've got a contested, state legislative race, what you're deciding is, will the Missouri Republican Party, which is kind of in an identity crisis right now, are you going to be conservative and stick to your guns, or are you going to do what's happened in other states and split and have an establishment faction and a conservative faction, which is what I've been warning about for years, because that's what happens in some states where the Republicans take a big majority. We saw it in Kansas,
It's happening right now,
to where the conservatives and the small L libertarians and, they are sticking to their guns and saying, we were elected by the people. We were given this majority. It's our duty to stick to our principles. And then you got the others who are like, we really need to play really nice with the Democrats who have been rejected by 8 out of 10 voters in Missouri.
Yeah.
So let's make sure they have a seat at the table, whereas the conservatives are saying,
but then come election time, this is the funny part. Come election time, those same people that were, saying that we're too extreme and that no, we got to appease the lobbyists, we got to appease the Democrats. They're the ones acting like they're the me or the Bill Eigel or the Bob Anders. It's fascinating to see. Behind closed doors, they hate our guts. In the media, they want to be us. They hate us because they ain't us.
It's the ink, isn't it? It's the tattoos.
It's gotta
be the tattoos. I used to say the beard, but it's got to be the ink. Right?
Well, there's more coming. Just wait.
Mike Ferguson in the morning tomorrow, live at PJ's Coffee in O'Fallon, Missouri. There's so much happening, and tomorrow is going to be a great opportunity to hear specifically, personally, from so many of these candidates that are involved in the primary on Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Come out, come grab a cup of coffee, say hi, tag us on a picture, anything. It's going to be a lot of fun. Basically, it's going to be a blast.
Yes.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, absolutely. Mike, thanks for
you got it, guys.
A little overtime and started the show with us today.
Anything for you.
Oh, thank you. Back at you. Senator Nick Shore is my co-host today. We will talk more about these elections on Tuesday in just about 15 minutes when we talk to Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd. Want to roll on with some of the latest information. As I've been saying all week, every day we're getting more questions arising still surrounding the Trump assassination attempt. Rather than getting questions answered, there's more information out today. I want to get into that as well as some other local issues. We'll do that all next as we roll through Colombo and Company on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. This is 101.9 and 94.1
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
If you have an electrical need or an electrical project in mind at your home or business, there is one team above the rest in the St. Louis area that you should call, and that is Grasser Electric, because Grasser specializes in all electrical needs, ranging from those large-scale commercial projects all the way down to simple home service needs like replacing a bad light switch. We have had Grasser in our home multiple times, so I can attest to that personally. The techs at Grasser, when they're in your home, they are super friendly, very professional, very easy to talk to and work with, and they leave the area looking better than they found it. The quality of work from the team at Grasser Electric is absolutely second to none. And, you need somebody like that on your side when it comes to electrical needs, because that is one of those areas, unless you are an electrician yourself, that things can get dangerous, they can get expensive, things can go wrong in a hurry. if you don't have those professionals on at your side. Grasser also offers free quotes for new projects. So if you have an electrical problem or just need to get a quote for new work, you need to call Grasser Electric now. You can call them at 636-441-5200 or learn more and contact them through the website, grasserelectric.com.
By now, you've heard Adam Schnelting's false attack ads. Don't buy his lies. Adam Schnelting says he opposes the transgender agenda, but he's trying to conceal the truth. Schnelting has received more than $71,000 from liberal trial lawyers. Those same trial lawyers supporting Schnelting also gave over $100,000 to a liberal group that supports men playing girls' sports, supports men using girls' bathrooms, and even supports gender mutilation surgeries for minors. To make matters worse, Adam Schnelting says he supports our gun rights, but he's received thousands from leading anti-gun lawyers that filed a massive lawsuit against gun makers and gun owners. But that's not all. These liberal lawyers don't just fund Adam Schnelting's campaign, their anti-gun lawsuits, or the transgender movement. They've also been leading funders of Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and even the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris ticket. Adam Schnelting. With friends like that, conservatives just can't trust him. On August 6th, don't forget Adam Schnelting. He's loved by liberals, and he lies like one too.
Gladius PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by Gladius PAC, and is not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Pat Fader of Comprehensive Chiropractic. Doc, I hear you all have a new treatment program for everyone's chronic knee pain.
Tim, that's right. We are helping patients with chronic knee pain by addressing the root cause of their condition.
And what makes your program so unique?
Well, Tim, many programs focus on just one component of the problem, the structural component. Our program focuses on the metabolic and neurological component to complete the picture and improve our patients' outcomes. We get to the root cause of what is driving inflammation in a person's body and address it directly.
For your chronic knee pain and more, visit cchiropractic.com. All information, make an appointment at cchiropractic.com.
Hi, this is former St. Louis County Police Chief Tim Fitch, and I am endorsing Mark Harder for the State Senate Race 15. I know firsthand, Mark has been a strong supporter of our police and first responders. Over the years, we sponsored legislation together to increase funding and equipment for our county police. We worked together to crack down on car and catalytic converter thefts and the proliferation of drugs like fentanyl in our community. Mark Harder is the right choice for voters in West County on August 6th.
Paid for by citizens to elect Mark Harder. Chuck McCluskey, Treasurer.
Summertime is here, and that means there are summer to-do lists and summer projects that need to be done around the house. If you are looking for flooring, if you think you need an update because your carpet is old or your hardwood looks worn out, my suggestion is to go to Michael's Flooring Outlet, igotfloored.com. Michael's Flooring Outlet has experts that will help you pick out that right hardwood or laminate or vinyl or carpet that fits your household and your needs. Maybe you need something low maintenance. Maybe you need something that won't show the pet hair. Michael's Flooring Outlet will help you make the right decision, and then those experts will have the installation done quickly and efficiently and right the first time. Visit them at one of their 3 locations in Dardine Prairie, St. Peter's, or Gravecore. Or if you don't have time to go visit one of those places, shop in home. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
The Secret Service now admitting, yes, we made a lot of mistakes, but there's more to be uncovered. Latest details coming up.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. As I mentioned, Missouri Senator Nick Schroer is my co-host.
I'm your company.
Studio today. You're the company today. You're part of the company. We got a lot of company today. We're going to talk to Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd in just a few minutes. Going to he'll be able to help us unpack and preview these elections that are happening on Tuesday across the state. Also, we're going to have a little fun at 3:00 when we open up Close's Cabinet. We talked to our buddy Mark Close from KC95. I mentioned that there is more information. There's actually brand new video out that's absolutely fascinating from the Trump rally and the assassination attempt. I want to get into that in a few minutes as well. But first, I wanted to, while Nick is here, I wanted to talk about this issue that has been blowing up across the country.
Just been dangling out there in the news.
Yeah, yes, it has. But looks like there is a very local situation happening right now, and I'm talking about the idea of transgender men being allowed in women's restrooms and locker rooms. So there's a report, a post from the Libs of TikTok, also a tweet from Greg Price, who is the communications director for the State Freedom Caucus Network. He used to be a columnist with the Daily Caller, talking about a local Lifetime Fitness gym, Nick, that has been apparently stirring things up and creating controversy on social media for this exact issue. A transgender man has been reported, at least according to these posts from Libs TikTok and Greg Price and a few other social media posts.
Well, didn't the transgender person, didn't they come out saying that this is true?
They have, yes, they've addressed it in their own social media that they've been reported by women in the locker room,
Actual women.
Yeah, about how, they shouldn't be there and it's uncomfortable. But according to the post, the gym has defended their policy of allowing the transgender biological man in the locker room, and it's obviously creating a lot of concern. And this story, for whatever reason, is not making it into the headlines yet. Maybe we're just early, but I feel like this is a perfect example of something that the media, the mainstream media, would not want to highlight in the local area. So the reason I wanted to bring it up with you specifically is because of your position as a senator. You can discuss whether legally there should be some action taken on this. Has this issue been discussed in any way in Jeff City? Is this an issue that you feel like is something that Missourians have to deal with? Because the other thing is, I feel like a lot of times people will see these stories in the news and they'll think, well, yeah, but that doesn't happen here.
Yeah.
This is not a Missouri issue.
I think it's California, New York.
Exactly. And then you see a story like this and you realize it's right here in Missouri, like it is everywhere else.
Last year when we did the SAFE Act, stop adolescents from experimentation, and that was more aimed at the surgeries and puberty blockers and all of that stuff. We then did the Save Women's Sports Act, which was keeping men out of women's sports. And this was part of the conversation early on. Do we address this? Because the YMCAs we've heard for a while went to allowing everybody in, just a family type of locker room. So this was part of the conversation, but similar to the COVID stuff and the tyranny during COVID, the COVID mandates, the mask mandates, there's a section of the Republican Party, at least in Jeff City, that says, well, the businesses should be able to operate their businesses that way. So treading upon their personal property rights, I guess. However, with some of these gyms, you sign up that they're going to protect you. They're going to protect you from harm. Any individual coming into the locker room, coming into the gym, there is a duty of care that they're going to have to, laid out contractually, they're going to have to conduct when you're operating in their business. So I think it's going to come back up.
Yeah.
And if it does, I mean, no pun intended, but I think it will, the topic will come back up next year, because we're seeing it at more YMCAs. We saw it at Planet Fitness. We're seeing it now at this Lifetime Fitness. And, where do you draw the line respecting the actual constitutional rights of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness of the women that are, you may have many victims too. You may have individuals that are trying to get their life back together, and they just want to make sure, hey, I don't want an abuser. I don't want to make, in this time where it's very private and you're in a state of undress, you don't want a man to come in.
No. And it's so important, and it's crazy to me that both sides are not represented in the mainstream argument. There's always the argument made about people that are transgender should be allowed. It's how they identify. We should take in, their feelings and, their perspective. We should keep that in mind for the conversation. And I totally agree with that. But we don't take into perspective what you just illustrated.
Right.
The women, sometimes the young girls that are in that situation where they think they're in a safe area where they suddenly are very uncomfortable and sometimes don't feel safe.
Well, why
when
is it
they
that
see that happening? But we don't ever represent that
Right.
that perspective in the conversation, and you'll never find anybody that's more for business rights,
Yep.
personal rights than me. So maybe the solution is that we've seen how boycotts work. We've seen what happened to Bud Light.
Yep.
We've seen what the
You've
power.
seen with Target, with Bud Light,
Yeah, the
with
power that you have with your own decisions.
well, even
and your-
Tractor Supply recently,
Right.
and all their DEI stuff. They quickly turn the
Planet
table.
Fitness is on this exact issue.
Well, where do you draw the line when you've got these two conflicting points of view? The constitutional rights are kind of being muddied because look, I've got a right to privacy. I've got a right when I sign this contract that I go to the men's locker room
Mhm.
that I'm not going to encounter goats or a unicorn or a woman in the locker room. And I think as a woman, and I've got 2 daughters, and
Mhm.
I've represented many people in different types of lawsuits where they become victims, whether it's to physical violence or verbal violence, whatever it may be, and they don't want to encounter somebody in that private area.
Yeah.
Especially a dude who's saying, well, wait a second, I'm now a woman. So yeah, I think there needs to be a massive discussion on, the drawing the line where these businesses can infringe upon your rights and your privacy.
Absolutely. I think this is a story that is obviously getting bigger and bigger across the country, but it's also something happening right here in our area. We'll continue to keep an eye on this story, and obviously this issue will be, I think, one of many that are going to impact voters and their decisions that they make this Tuesday and this November in this very important election year.
And I think because of some of these things that are just outlandish and goofy, that the Democrats are now supporting men in women's locker rooms and girls' locker rooms, that's kind of brought a lot of those moderate voters over to our side.
Yeah. And I wish people would understand more that there is a difference between your rights. Like if you want to live a certain lifestyle,
Do it.
You want to identify a certain way,
Go for
I
it.
have no issues, and I will support and defend your right to do those things. That does not mean you as a man are allowed to compete in a sport against women. It's not the same.
Simple test for
It's not
me.
the
When
same
your
thing.
rights infringe upon mine,
Yes.
that's the stopping point right there. And then we got to figure out, okay, is there another way to honor your rights and respect your rights without infringing upon mine?
That's exactly right. That is Missouri Senator Nick Schroer. He is my co-host today, and we are going to continue, and we are going to dig into some of the very important races happening on Tuesday. Election Day in Missouri is just days away, and we are going to talk about many of those races with Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd next on Colombo Company.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
News analysis and opinion.
Let the American people see what's going on here.
News Talk STL.
Pay close attention.
St. Louis is number one.
Bottom line is this: St. Louis is number one
for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
If the time has come to sell the house, you're empty nesters now, the kids are gone. Why do we need all these bedrooms? Yeah, selling the house may be a good idea. A better idea when you want to sell your house is to go to the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway. That's our great friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, who are so good at this, they sell 15 times more homes than your average realtor. So let them help you sell your house. Just go to Rodney and Jen Wallner. Right, Mike Ferguson?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Vic. As a matter of fact, the first time I talked to Rodney and Jen about this cabin project that my wife and I have, they looked at all the factors and said, if I were you, I'd wait. When was the last time you heard somebody in real estate say, wait, don't buy something right now? Well, he knew the market conditions were going to change, and they did to our favor, but that shows how good they are at this and how honest and ethical Rodney and Jen Wallner are. That's why I won't work with anybody else. You shouldn't either. Give them a call today, 314-810-SOLD.
My name is Justin Sparks, and I am running for re-election to the Missouri House of Representatives, District 110. I have been knocking on thousands of doors, and I want you to know I've heard your concerns. As a former police officer, I heard your concern about the wide-open southern border and wanting to keep our neighborhoods safe. I will continue to fight to protect your Second Amendment, and I will fight to protect the lives of the unborn. I will fight to keep the woke ideology from infecting our schools and affecting our children's future. Go to sparksformissouri.com and tell me what you think, and stand with me on August 6th.
Paid for by Sparks for Missouri. Tim Fitch, Treasurer.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Jefferson County, the future is bright. Vote Leslie Cheek for County Council.
Hi, I'm Leslie Cheek. I am not a career politician. In fact, I'm not a politician at all. I've been a businesswoman in the area for over 30 years, and I see this as an opportunity to share expertise in land use and bring a common sense and responsible approach to the issues important to the citizens of Jefferson County.
Hi, my name is Alyssa. Vote Leslie Cheek, my grandma, for County Council on August 6th. Let's move Jefferson County forward.
Paid for by friends of Leslie Cheek. Diane Berberick, Treasurer.
This hour of Colombo and Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.994.1 News Talk STL. Missouri Senator Nick Schroer is in studio with me today. He is the co-host of the show this afternoon as we get closer and closer to massively important election day here in the state of Missouri. This Tuesday is election day. We will be covering everything, obviously, up until the election, after the election, but also on election night. We will be here for you. So if you are looking for up to the second election results for all the important races happening around the state of Missouri, we will have you covered here on News Talk STL starting at 7 p.m. on Tuesday night. And our election coverage that night. Got to say thank you to Great Harvest Bread Company. Election coverage is brought to you by Great Harvest Bread Company in Maplewood, your neighborhood bakery. Visit them at greatharvestmaplewood.com. All right. And having Senator Schroer in the studio and our next guest on the air, I can't think of any better people to talk to about these elections on Tuesday as Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd joins us as he does every Wednesday.
Rod the bod.
But Rodney, this is a special Wednesday because we are days away from what I think is the most important primary in the history of the state of Missouri. And I mean, am I overstating it, Rodney?
No, you're certainly not overstating it. Good to be with you both. And if people think that it's an overstatement, I'll say it this way. It's the most important primary election, I would say, for the rest of our adult lives.
Right.
You know, so if you say it's because whatever happens on this Tuesday, looking at all of us on this call, we aren't the youngest crew anymore, will shape the state and the nation for the next really 20, 30 years.
Absolutely.
So I think for the rest of our lifetime, and that's how important this is. I've been talking to people all around the state about the importance of the primary, specifically to Missouri, and then the importance of the national election to the nation, right? And I've had to sort of bifurcate it that way because here's what I'm hearing. A lot of people, in spite of all your great commentary on your show, a lot of people are not seeing a sense of urgency around next Tuesday. There's not.
Yeah, because because that has been the assumption about primaries. My whole life, at least, you know, primaries were never the focus. Nobody ever told you growing up, you know, in the few civics classes or conversations that are even left for kids to learn about this stuff. the primary elections were never emphasized. It was always all the focus was put on the general. And Rodney, I illustrated that earlier. I looked up some numbers and I read these earlier in the show just to give some context. In 2020, 4 years ago, the Missouri governor primary, the Missouri Republican governor primary, there was a total of 680,000 votes cast in that election in 2020. In the general election for governor in the state of Missouri in 2020, there were 3 million votes cast. So that says it all as far as the lack of voter turnout traditionally when it comes to a primary, which to me, Rodney, makes this even more fascinating because a relatively small amount of voters being split 3 ways when we're talking specifically about the governor's race, I mean, really makes for a like an anything can happen situation, does it not?
It literally lends itself to anything can happen. Your reflection on the historical data is compelling. I feel like we're headed there again with the consequences or the outcomes being even more consequential, as we started the interview saying. I think, I was talking to people, there's so many people that I know in my little ecosystem that they're on vacation next week. It's the last vacation before they come back and get ready for school. It's the last time. And so I have encouraged a number of friends of mine that I just happen to know that they're going to be on vacation. And I'm telling you, I don't think if I would have nudged them, they would have went and tried to early vote. I said to someone, if you're leaving town on Saturday, this Saturday, you will not vote. You will not vote at all on Tuesday. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, man, and your wife won't vote. Oh, yeah. Well, what should we do? And I said to them, you can go early vote. And they legitimately asked me, well, how does that work? Where do I go? And this is shocking because these are people that are educated, advanced degrees, hadn't thought about the impact of their vacation on that day. And so I have no sense because no one is really sounding the alarm bells to people to wake up. So I think we're going to have still a pretty modest turnout of the registered voters, right? And unfortunately, they're going to have to come back and realize that the table has been set. So if you don't like the outcome on Tuesday, on Wednesday, from Tuesday, and you didn't vote, I hate to be so terse, but I will tell you that you get the democracy that you participate in and that you deserve.
So, Nick, we've been talking about it on this show and on this station. I know you've been talking about it on Sundays on Stand and Fight. It's been a highlight of these conversations with Rodney every week leading up to this about just trying to make people aware of the importance, as Rodney's illustrating there, the importance of this primary and how important it is to get out and vote. I'm hoping that there will be a larger turnout than what I just talked about in 2020. But I don't know. You talk to the people in your district, on a regular basis. Does your gut feeling tell you that people by and large realize the impact of Tuesday's election, or is it what we were just discussing, the traditional thought about a primary election and it's not really a voting priority?
I think we're getting there. I think we're getting to a more educated political involvement of the common folk. And I think it's because it's in our face all the time. And now with crime in our face and spreading from all areas all over the United States, and the prosecutorial misconduct and judicial misconduct and issues at the border creeping in. We had somebody in O'Fallon, legal immigrant, stabbed 2 people in O'Fallon, Missouri. So yeah, I do think that people are more involved now, but I still, to your point, I think that there's more of a reliance upon, hey, we got to vote in November, and they forget how important it is, especially at a states' right level, in having things like abortion go back to the states and many other issues, especially if Trump's elected, coming back to the states. Like he said, he's going to get rid of the Department of Education. That would bring the onus back on us as elected officials of the state. I think we're on the right track. We're just not as far as I wished we were.
So, Rodney, as you mentioned, there are a lot of people out there that don't even know where to go or what to do. And we have voting guides for the entire area posted on our website at newstalkstl.com. Where else do you recommend people go to get that type of information about early voting, or if they want to see, these races?
The easiest thing to do is to go to the Secretary of State's website. It just SOS. You can Google it. Any device. If you know how to get to Uber or Lyft or Amazon, you can get to this. Just click on the same search engine, type in Missouri Secretary of State, type in the information is not hidden, it's readily available. And I think it's important to do. I mean, I just I want to agree with Nick that people are kind of coming around, but I still think that the big idea is, in November, I'm going to cast my ballot. We're going to get the nation back on track. And then whatever's down ticket, we'll get that too. I understand that because you pointed out before, that's how it's traditionally been most of our lives. But in our home state, the great state of Missouri, for probably the last 3 or 4 election cycles, the primary is where we determine who will rule the day in November. That is where we make the critical decision. And because pretty much every statewide seat is up for, I would say, potentially the next decades of leadership, please think about getting your head in the game. If you're listening to Tony and Nick right now, think about getting in the game and figuring out who is going to be the right person to protect your values, what you care about in this state, for potentially the next decade, and then setting the table for maybe the next 20 to 30 years. It's that important.
So, Rodney, obviously the governor's race and the congressional race, the District 1 race between Cori Bush and Wesley Bell, has taken up a lot of the air in the room, especially locally, and has been something that those races we've talked about a lot here on the show. Outside of those two races, what are the most intriguing, important races in your mind?
Look, I mean, clearly, who is the governor of this state? Who's our attorney general? I think those are two of the most important races. And we've seen why, because in the last 5 years, those two offices have had a really important and significant role in what's happened in local offices. Look at what happened with the local prosecutor's office, because the governor's office and the AG's office made some decisions that they were going to lean into figuring out how to make that office function right in a better way. So I think you go back to all these state races have a huge impact on the lives of everyday Missourians, and how even some of the local governments are held accountable or held responsible to their citizens if they're not necessarily stepping up to the plate. And I got to tell you something, man, my heart goes out really to the Republican primary voters in this election. And I'll tell you why. You got a lot of people, 3 people plus more running for governor. You got 2 candidates running for attorney general. But the reason that I know that this is going to be a very tight race, and it's going to be very difficult up until people walk in the ballot for some of the undecideds, is because even President Donald Trump has struggled with it.
Yeah.
So what was his answer? This is President Trump. He looked at the 3 candidates in the governor's race, the 2 in the AG's race, and he basically just said, I don't know.
He endorsed everybody.
Give any of them will do the job. So that unfortunately puts the onus back on the primary election voter to make his or her individual decision. When I know people were kind of looking for a little bit of guidance from President Trump, just throw us a bone. Just kind of tell us who you might think might be the best person to work with your administration or to work with you or the and he couldn't do it. And I think he legitimately looked at every candidate and reached a conclusion that, for goodness sake, I just can't make the call.
Yeah.
Give me any of them.
I want to. We only have a couple minutes left here. I want to ask you both the same question quickly. We all have our gut feelings, our instincts. Who we think is going to win or who we think has the momentum. Personally, I've never been in more of a coin flip situation. In any election that I can really remember. Rodney, do you feel that same way, that if you were forced to try to make a prediction, is this so much more difficult for all the reasons that we've outlined throughout this conversation?
It is. The only prediction that I'm comfortable to make is that there's no certainty as to who emerges in these races on next Tuesday. There's just no certain. I'm certain about the uncertainty of who will win.
Right.
I do believe that some voters, the last poll I saw had it down to 17% undecided. That's still a lot. And that is just what people were saying when they were polled. And it doesn't mean that some that have been somewhat decided they don't change their minds as they go into the polls on Tuesday. There's still a lot of time. This is why you're going to see, and Nick knows this, this moment now, this is the last gasp, the last sprint People are going to throw everything they got
Mm-hmm.
to sort of move those undecideds and to actually, remember, change a few minds.
Yeah.
Right. And so as we get closer to Tuesday, I think more people will pay attention. More people will make decisions. But right now, it's just too close and it's too uncertain. I still have my suspicions, Tony, which I developed those suspicions in a healthy way with you many times.
Yeah.
I have my suspicions about polls.
Rodney, unfortunately we're out of time. Can't wait to talk to you a week from today when we have some of these answers and we will look to the future. Rodney Boyd, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. We roll on, we'll have a little fun and open up Closest Cabinet next.
On August 6th, your vote will shape our community's future. Introducing Representatives John Simmons and Kyle Marquardt, two candidates with starkly different records. John Simmons, a staunch conservative, has consistently cut taxes and defended parents' rights for education choice. He believes in limited government and safeguarding our privacy. Simmons even championed legislation to secure our elections, ensuring integrity at every step. In contrast, Kyle Marquardt voted to expand welfare and increase government spending, and also supported invasive, warrantless government drone searches. When it comes to protecting your rights and hard-earned money, the choice is clear. John Simmons is not just making promises, he's delivered real results. It's time to make your voice heard in the Republican primary. Vote John Simmons, the representative with the proven conservative voting record. Paid for by Nova PAC, James Murphy, Treasurer.
Drugs, illegal immigration, crime. There's no law and order, and a crisis at the border. That's the Joe Biden record. But here in Jefferson County, Sheriff Dave Marshak isn't having any of it. Unlike the hug-a-thug policies of St. Louis, in Jefferson County, Dave Marshak puts criminals behind bars where they belong. Instead of allowing the insane to fund the police movement to win, he's hiring more cops with better pay and actually backing the blue. Illegal immigrants and cartel drugs? Not in Jeffco, amigo. Sheriff Dave Marshak's plan is simple, and it's working. In Jefferson County, crime is down, and Jeffco families are safe.
I'm Sheriff Dave Marshak. Unlike Joe Biden as your Jefferson County Sheriff, we're putting more cops on the street. We're enforcing the law and punishing criminals, and we're sending Mexican drugs back where they belong. On August 6th, vote Sheriff Dave Marshak for Jefferson County Sheriff to keep Jefferson County safe.
Paid for by Dave Marshak Election Committee. Mike Pruno, Treasurer.
Tim Jones here for Johnny's Hideout in beautiful High Ridge, the go-to St. Louis sports bar and grill experience featuring over 40 big screen TVs, fantastic food featuring daily specials, and of course the famous Johnny Dow's chicken wings, live local music, and now the reopening of the gorgeous Sunset Patio, Sunset Stage, and Train Station Bar. Johnny's Hideout, located a mere 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois off Highway 30, open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. More information, jhideout.com. That's jhideout.com. Johnny's Hideout. I'll see you there.
Are you ready for positive change in Jefferson County?
Hi, I'm Billy Crow, and I'm running for Jefferson County Council because I believe in a brighter future for our community. I spent my life working hard and listening to the needs of our neighbors. Together, we can build better schools, safer neighborhoods, and a stronger local economy.
Billy Crow has always been there for our community.
I trust Billy to bring fresh ideas and real solutions to Jefferson County.
Vote for a leader who cares. Vote Billy Crow for Jefferson County Council.
I'm Billy Crow, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Friends of Billy Crow. Joyce Jenner, Treasurer.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. The Federal Reserve says that greater progress has been made in reducing inflation to its 2% target, a sign that the central bank is moving closer toward cutting its key interest rate for the first time in 4 years. However, Fed policymakers did choose to keep their key rate at a 23-year high of 5.3%. Many Democratic elected officials and some economists have pushed for lower rates to bolster the economy and prevent job cuts. Republicans, including former President Trump, have argued that a rate cut before the election would appear politically motivated. In Jerusalem, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in an address to his country, Netanyahu speaking after the killing of Hamas top political leader Ismail Haniyeh in an airstrike in Tehran. The terrorist Palestinian group has a history of swift and smooth replacement of fallen leaders that have been killed in Israeli airstrikes. Also at townhall.com, there's been a ruling by the South Carolina Supreme Court decision concerning the state's death penalty.
The South Carolina Supreme Court has ruled the state's death penalty is legal. All 5 justices agreed with at least part of the ruling, opening the door to restart executions in a state that hasn't put an inmate to death since 2011. South Carolina's death penalty now includes a firing squad, as well as lethal injection and the electric chair. But 2 of the justices said they felt the firing squad was not a legal way to kill an inmate, and one of them felt the electric chair is a cruel and unusual punishment. I'm Haya Panjwani.
After news from the Fed on an impending interest rate cut, stocks finished higher. The Dow up 99 points, the NASDAQ adding 452. More at townhall.com.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-504-8790. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-504-8790. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-504-8790.
Advertisement sponsored
from the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, mainly expecting a dry evening, just a slim chance for a spot shower storm, better chance to the northeast. And then a low of 81 degrees, warm and muggy in the morning. There is a chance for a few storms in the morning and the afternoon to early evening. That could keep it a little cooler than we expect, but right now expect intense heat, 96, heat index 103 to 107. By Friday, mostly sunny, just a 20% chance for a spot shower storm in the afternoon, a high of 90, though, as it definitely gets a little cooler and a little less humid. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL, brought to you by Jewels on Hampton, paying some of the highest prices for your gold, silver, diamonds, and more. Call 314-752-5000 or visit jewelsonhampton.com.
Fox News commentary.
The Democrat Party went from calling us Nazis, fascists, and deplorables to just plain weird, so I guess we'll take it. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Donald Trump Jr. here. Since January of 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back, but you can stop your losses by diversifying into a gold IRA from my friends at Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold now.
Message and data rates may apply.
The Democrat Party has gone out of its way to denigrate Trump and his supporters. Over the years, the buzzwords have ranged from deplorables to mega extremists to even likening our movement to Hitler's. But none of it panned out, so they've got a new buzzword they're trying out, all of them, and it's weird. Like a robotic symphony of BS, Democrat pundits and leaders have rolled out the word weird as their preferred label for us. The party that supports men and women's sports, chest feeding, they-them pronouns, and believes every celebration would be made better with drag queens is really calling us weird? Well, the tagline is laughable at best, and if they think it's going to distract voters from the issues, they're mistaken. But I will say this, the campaign that focuses on policy from here on out will have the advantage in November because the name calling is getting old, and so are the failed Democrat talking points. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Listen anytime.
It happens
anywhere.
Everywhere.
Every
day continues to bring more news.
With the News Talk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
I love the colorful clothes you wear and the way the sunlight plays upon her hair. I hear the sound of a gentle on the wind that
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. It is a day packed full of company. I'm Tony Colombo here in studio with producer Ethan, and my co-host today is Missouri Senator Nick Schroer.
Yes, sir.
Here comes that frog again, Ethan.
Get him.
This thing has been haunting me for like a week now. And since it is a Wednesday afternoon, just after 3 o'clock, means it is time to open up Close's Cabinet with our buddy Mark Close from KC95 and Skip Weber from Weber Chevrolet. The music there, is it still going? You can put up a little bit. Music always brought to us by Stel Pontigas, Stel Baby from the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show. And Mark, last week we had a well-known hit also. You never know what you're going to get from Stel. You might get something that's completely, a deep cut off the beaten path, or you just might get some classic Beach Boys like today. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. I couldn't agree with you more. That what's so cool about like the track today that Stel picked out is that so much of it was done by the Wrecking Crew. That was the studio musicians that came in and played. Tommy Tedesco, Glenn Campbell was part of that. What an amazing amount of talents in the stuff that they did.
Mm-hmm. But Skip, what are your thoughts on the Beach Boys? Because they're one of those bands that, like, I know people, I'm sure you do too, that they put the Beach Boys ahead of the Beatles.
What?
They're just are
they high?
Huge fans. And then there are others that don't.
I do not. I've seen the Beach Boys 3 times live, but that didn't start until like 82 was the first time. But they were almost all of them were still alive then. But here's the deal: back when they were doing it, they were as big as the Beatles. I think Mark can attest to that. It was a different sound. You had the Asian, you had the beach sound, and the two groups massively respected each other, and they pushed each other. Without that rivalry, we may not have had Sgt. Pepper's, and then we may not have had Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys, which is arguably their best, because they were trying to outdo each other, and they just loved it. And this song, Good Vibrations, was not on an album. It was a single. And at the time it was recorded, it was by far the most complex recording with all the layerings and all the sounds. It was innovative. It was out, and it led to all kinds of different things breaking through in the rock and roll world.
And that's I think the thing that, people don't realize sometimes, when you hear somebody talk about how amazing the Beach Boys are, it can be a lot of times just, dismissed as like just poppy, surf music or whatever. But there's actually, Mark, right? There's actually a lot of very complex musicianship and harmonizing and stuff that had never been seen to that point. So it was very innovative. That's something that I think a lot of people don't realize, right?
Well, yeah, and then Brian Wilson, who's basically the mastermind, he quit touring like in 67 or 68, and at one point, Glenn Campbell was the guy that took his place on tours. But Brian Wilson, he would go into the studio, and we mentioned with the Wrecking Crew, the studio guys, and he would they'd be cutting a track, and he'd go, all right, I want it to go like this, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. And they would do it. He goes, no, try it again, da-da. And that's
I think that was Elmo's World, Nick. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, Elmo's World.
Exactly. And they would hear him, and they would sit there and look at this guy, Brian Wilson, go, where is this coming from? And he would just come up with, you said it, innovative, genius composition that really had never been heard before.
Maybe he wrote Elmo's World.
There you go. Maybe that was it. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da.
Baby.
That's good. This is
a very troubled soul.
Yes.
But pretty much an absolute genius.
Yeah.
And you said musicianship and harmonies. There was also genius work done in the engineering part of their records too. That was very innovative too. Not just even the music being played, the stuff they did with recording and engineering.
Yeah. So there is some validity. There is some legitimacy to the folks that argue for the Beach Boys being on that top tier caliber with bands like the Beatles. This is perfect conversation because there is a list that has gone viral. It was a survey done by the website ranker.com, and it is the top musicians and mostly singers that are huge stars, but that people don't actually think are good singers. So I have a very controversial take about Bob Dylan, Nick. I'm
not a fan.
I am not either. I don't get it.
We just became best friends.
I don't understand
Yeah.
why people act like
It's like
he's
black licorice.
I get he's a good songwriter. Okay. He's a great songwriter. I can also list some other great songwriters. I know that there are people that are screaming blasphemy.
Right.
But okay, so Bob Dylan's mind. Do you have anybody that comes to your mind like that is somebody, whether you like him or not, that is, considered to be a superstar singer that you think, I don't think they're really very good.
I mean, Bob Dylan comes to mind.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Bruce Springsteen. I know a lot of people are, but maybe it's the political stuff. Maybe that comes into play.
Yeah.
But Bob Dylan for sure is on that list. Gosh, I mean, I like Willie Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's as great of a singer
right
as he is.
Right.
You bring up the Beach Boys. The Beach Boys and Jimmy Buffett are kind of the same vibe for me.
Yeah.
Like Time and Place, I get it, but you can't just play them on like a winter's afternoon and get into it. At least I can.
So I'm going to get into this list in a second, but Skip, you got anybody that comes to mind when I mentioned that if somebody asked you to cast your vote in this survey about singers that actually can't sing?
Well, he's got better through the years, but he's in the top 2 or 3 of my favorite musicians of all time, and that's
Say it again.
And
you cut out for just a second.
Eric Clapton.
Okay.
Oh,
Eric Clapton. He's a wonderful guitar player. In my opinion, the best. And he's better singing now than he was. But he, for the early part of his career, did not want to sing, and it took a friend Delaney Bramlett to convince him to sing so he could do his own stuff. And that early stuff, he was okay, but he was limited range. It just wasn't that great. He's gotten way better at singing, but it's still not a natural thing. He's not a Robert Plant or Freddie Mercury or Meatloaf or any of these great rock and roll voices. I'd put him in there. And with Bob Dylan, I get it. His voice sounds terrible, but why people love him from the 60s is because he changed everything.
I know.
His songwriting did.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like it now, you can understand. If you weren't going from the ink spots, you weren't bridging the ink spots to Led Zeppelin.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's just a different deal.
Yeah. I mean, he wrote All Along the Watchtower. I mean, he's got I agree. He's got I get it. I get it. I just don't. He's just not for me. Marker, anybody stand out for you? If you were casting your vote in this survey, who would it be?
I think and Skip was saying, you brought it, is a lot of times it's guys with a really unique voice, like Rod Stewart. Early on, Rod Stewart, when he was playing with Jeff Beck and singing early stuff, really unique voice, kind of that raspy. And then he did all those American classic albums. Those things sold. Then he did disco music. That sold. You can't deny it. Everything the guy does turns to gold, but it's a very distinctive, kind of, if you try and go out of a genre, I don't think it doesn't seem to work. But it's I think the distinction, everybody, like Skip was saying with Clapton, I think Clapton has gotten so much better.
Yeah.
And he can do ballads, and he can do rock, and he can do blues. In my book, Clapton can do no wrong musically. But yeah, everybody, you get that kind of distinctive sound. It's going to work for you, and maybe not work for you in other areas.
So I'm going to read the list here, and I want to see if
it's like Springsteen, Rod Stewart, Clapton. None of them would have won American Idol.
Right. Yeah, great point.
They wouldn't have survived the cut.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have gone to the coast or wherever they did.
Right. Yeah.
But they're all just iconic singers.
Yeah, Simon Cowell would have told them that they'll never be anything in this industry. So, stick to your day job, and they go on to be superstars. So I'm gonna read this list. I'll read that there's a list of 20 here. I'll read the top 10, and we'll see if anybody has any major beef with what America has said about singers, superstar musicians, singers specifically that people think are not great singers. Number one on the list is Jennifer Lopez. Now we weren't, we were keeping our conversation mostly about like rock singers, but obviously there's going to be some pop artists on here too. Number one, Jennifer Lopez. Number two, Neil Young, which for me, everything I said about Bob Dylan applies to Neil
100%.
Young. Number three, Tom Waits. Number four, Paula Abdul. Number five, Bob Dylan. Number six, opera singer Florence Foster Jenkins, who I am not aware of. Number seven, Leonard Cohen. Number eight, Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. Number nine, Macy Gray. Talk about like unique voices. Either you like it or you don't. That's, I think, Macy Gray. And number 10 is Elvis Costello. Also on the list in the top 20 also are Brian Johnson from AC/DC, Jimi Hendrix, Taylor Swift, Ozzy Osbourne, and Mick Jagger. All also in the top.
Waylon
20.
Jennings didn't make that list.
He is not. He did not make the list.
I'll leave right now if he made
it. Skip, any of those offensive to you?
Yeah, Brian Johnson.
That's the one that bugs me the most too. Yes.
Yeah, that's horrible. That's horrible.
Totally agree. He's number 11, Skip. He just missed the top 10. He's number 11.
Taylor Swift is on there because people are annoyed with her.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why. People are voting with her because they're annoyed with her. She's a very good singer, and I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but and I agree with Mick Jagger. It's all stage presence and attitude with him.
Yeah.
He
gyrating.
He's another guy that would never have made it past the first round of American Idol. He just has no, melody to his voice, but he's wonderful.
Yeah,
as a performer. So.
I agree, and I would say the same thing about Jimi Hendrix. I understand why Hendrix is on this list.
Oh my gosh, Hendrix was a great singer.
I love Hendrix.
Was a great singer.
Yeah, I did. Well, I mean, I love Jimmy.
That's horrible.
I freaking love Jimi Hendrix, but I never. When I listen to him, I don't. In my brain, I don't consider him to be like this amazing singer. I just think that the music is amazing. The lyrics are
sing opera. He couldn't sing opera, but he sang the blues. He was singing blues rock.
Oh yeah.
Blues is not. You don't have the same tone.
Right.
If that under that, all the blues musicians, B.B. King and Albert King and Little Walter, none of them would make it.
Yeah.
They do half talk as they sing.
Right. And he kept it, and he knew how to, stay right within his range to make it all sound good. You never hear him, like going all over the place as far as the notes are concerned. I didn't mean to. Was not insulting Jimi Hendrix. I like Hendrix a lot, but I understand why people might put him on this list because he's not necessarily like this powerhouse singer. I think you could use the American Idol analogy with him as well. Marker, anybody on this list you find offensive?
It's not even offensive, but it was funny because I didn't think about when he first brought the question up. Neil Young. I'm a big
number two.
Neil Young.
Number two.
Neil Young is the closest thing to a traffic accident that you're going to find everywhere. You don't want to look.
Absolutely.
You don't want to look, but you have to. His voice is shrieky. His guitar playing is shrieky. His writing is weird, and I love the guy to death. I'm sitting there going, I don't know why I like this guy. It's a traffic accident. I can't take my eyes off him, but he gets in the guitar that bing, 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 bing for like 20 minutes. And I'm like, I love the guy. So he absolutely, I can see where people see him on the list. But man, when it comes,
Mark,
you can look at some of Neil Young stuff.
Yeah, go ahead, Skip.
Mark, do you think you would have liked him if he never had paired up with Stephen Stills and Crosby and Nash? I mean, to me, that's part of it. He was only with him for one album, and I like a lot of his stuff. But that album got so great that I want to like him. I want to like him, so then I do.
Right. We'll go back before that with his Buffalo Springfield stuff. I loved all that. Him and Stephen Stills and Richie Fury and everything. I love that. But I mean, you talk about writing ability like a Bob Dylan. You look at some of Neil Young's stuff and look at the lyrics he's going through. It's pretty amazing. And again, his last 15 albums that he put out haven't sold at all. He doesn't care. He just keeps putting them out, doing his tour. He actually had to cancel his tour because of an illness in the band or something. But he's, like I said, he's all things put together, comes out with like something that's unlike anything else out there, as far as I'm concerned.
Boys, we're almost out of time. I wanted to mention one other thing. If you can't trust the internet to tell you who good and bad singers are, I don't know what you can trust it to do. Is anybody in this conversation aware of the viral gorilla sofas? These gorilla sofas that have gone crazy viral on TikTok specifically. Anybody have any idea what I'm talking about?
No idea.
So this
No
is
idea.
So
No idea.
there are
I
these.
could not put gorillas and sofas in the same sentence. I've never.
I know Gorilla Glue.
So I always mention, if you're watching on the cameras, you might get a little special treat.
That looks like a
little
grumpy
extra.
cat.
I'm holding up a picture for the cameras. So people started posting these pictures of these gorilla sofas, which are sofas that look like giant gorillas. So think about a gorilla sitting down, and the arms are the ends of the sofa. The arm rests on the sofa. His lap and belly are, the seat cushion and the back.
A boy?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
okay.
It's
because he started talking. Okay.
Yeah. I did not get the pronouns. We'll have to ask. But these pictures started going crazy, and people are like searching Amazon, and they want to buy them, and they're doing all, and it's actually just an AI generated fake photo of a living room with a sofa. And it's now something that people are like trying to buy, and has gone.
Let's start making them.
Has gone crazy.
Yeah.
And it was there you go. Maybe this is the next the next idea. But we talk all the time about how how AI is taking over, and you got to be careful. Don't get fooled by the AI. And thousands of people did. They're trying to buy non-existent gorilla sofas because of this this ridiculous TikTok. Skip, before we let you go, give us an update as we get ready. Tomorrow starts a brand new month.
Yeah.
What is what's the latest at Weber Chevrolet?
Well, this has been just a phenomenal month, and we're closing it strong today even. So I mean, it's just great. I love to see it. It's so nice to be back and selling the volume again, and it's for a couple of reasons. I mean, it's not, to be honest with you, it's not even worried about profitability because it doesn't. We're lowering our prices because of the volume. It's just. Customers, I think, are getting better deals now than they were. Nobody had any choice when you had no vehicles. You can't sell everything out and then sell nothing for a month and a half. So, this is great, and it's benefits everybody. Benefits my salespeople; they're selling more. Benefits the stores; we're turning in and out, and it benefits the customers great because trade-ins are still sky high. We still need every used car we can get. They're still easier to get, but when sales are booming, man, it's just awesome. And it's the most vehicles we've received from the factory since before COVID. And that broke the record before that was last month. So it's on an upswing like that. It's really cool. And I can't say enough about my people because they're still maintaining the highest reputation score of any dealer in St. Louis. And that even amidst all this explosion of volume. So it's just great. Good time for anybody to buy. Check out my website, please, if you're at all interested.
Yeah, WeberChevrolet.com, and it's great to just hear something going in the right direction, a positive story coming out of any industry. So that's great to hear. And Marker, anything to promote the band playing this weekend or anytime soon that we need to let people know about?
Yeah, we're going to be Saturday night. We're going back to the Dorchester Homecoming over in Dorchester, Illinois. We were there last year. This is a party, brother. People come from all over, food and drink and games and all that. Thousands of people will be there Saturday night from 8 till midnight. And then a week from this Friday, we're going to be opening for Grand Illusion, which is a Styx tribute band. Very, very good. and we're going to be opening at the Family Arena on August 9th. And the tickets are free. So it's a money back guarantee. The tickets are free. And you just go online and put in close quarters with 2Ks. Every gig we do, we've got thousands of tickets. If you want 100 tickets, you get 100 tickets. Come out and join us. So just check it all out. You can Google it at Close Quarters. We'll be out and about.
Awesome. And I mean, everybody knows there ain't no party like a Dorchester party.
Oh, a lot of Busch Light. A lot of Busch Light out there.
Mark Close from KC. Yeah, Mark Close from KC95. Skip Weber from Weber Chevrolet. Guys, thanks as always for your time this afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, and we will talk to you soon.
See you guys.
Yeah. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
You bet. Great stuff.
Tony, I just want to say thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you, buddy.
You've had this documentary about Jesus on the whole time.
Have I?
I don't know who put it on there, but there's now someone on there who looks like Kamala Harris.
Are you?
I've been very entertained the entire time, so thank you for that.
I hope you're getting some inspiration.
They've had a nice.
I hope your faith has been boosted. I didn't realize that was on the screen.
Don't know where it came from.
There you go. Yeah,
but it's there. There's
All
Jesus.
right.
He just came back from the dead.
Good to know. Good to know. All
So
right.
here,
we're
News
at the
Talk,
resurrection part.
News Talk STL. You never know what you're going to get.
That's
Colombo
exactly
and
right.
Company. Even Jesus stopped by.
That's exactly right. And so did Nick Schroer. That is Missouri Senator Nick Schroer. He's my co-host today. And we got to, after a little fun there with Mark and Skip, we need to get back into the headlines and specifically want to get you the latest information. Brand new video out from the Trump rally on July 13th. Very creepy video where that was taken by somebody in the audience that actually caught
him running
on the roof, the shooter on the roof. I mean, just unbelievable.
It's chilling to watch that.
It is. I'll fill you in on that and more as we roll on with Nick Schroer in studio here on Colombo and Company.
I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations.
Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
I cannot recommend the team at All Solutions Pest Control enough. Christine and I have always been big believers in having a pest control company at our house, taking advantage of those services all year round. And we found the team at All Solutions a couple of years ago, and they have been the best company that we have ever worked with, the best results, the most happy we've ever been with any pest control service has been with All Solutions Pest Control. As I mentioned, we keep them at our home year round because, of course, All Solutions can help you if you have a pest issue. This time of year, ants are specifically bad. Obviously, mosquitoes, wasps are some of the things that are really bad this time of year. But every season brings their own unique pest issues. And if you have that, then All Solutions Pest Control can take care of it, and they can restore the health of your home and get rid of that problem for you. But also, if you just want to prevent that from happening, as we talk to Derek from All Solutions all the time, kind of put that shield up around your home to prevent any kind of a pest issue from happening. All Solutions Pest Control is the best for that. We love the mosquito treatment that we take advantage of the mosquito treatment all through the spring and summer and early part of the fall because we like to be outside. We like to grill. The kids like to play outside. And, as the sun sets, that can all get wrecked if you are just getting eaten up by mosquitoes. And the All Solutions Pest Control mosquito treatment has been great for our family. Can't recommend that enough. And right now, you can take advantage of their $67 introductory special. So what a perfect time to call All Solutions Pest Control. If you do have a pest issue or if you just want to put up that protection, you can right now take advantage of the $67 introductory special. Learn more about everything that All Solutions Pest Control can do for you and contact them through the website, allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
John Beal knows that right after a hailstorm, new roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Previously, I told you how big tech was trying to hide the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Well, just yesterday, Trump lashed out, stating Facebook admitted it wrongly censored the Trump attempted assassination photo and got caught. Same thing for Google. Of course, that picture is that iconic photo where he's standing and raising his fist, yelling, "Fight, fight, fight," with blood dripping from his face. Facebook has now said, well, we thought we were dealing with an altered photo, so we put everything on hold. It was our mistake. We apologize. Right. We apologize. And Google, if you were attempting to find anything about it, and you typed in assassination attempt on, it automatically filled in on Reagan, on Hitler, Lenin, Gerald Ford. No Trump. It just got pushed farther and farther down. And they want you to believe all of this is just the way things are working, and we're just trying to make things better. We did not mean anything. Our bad. Right. Our bad. We got caught and called out for trying to play the American public as fools. We're on to you, and we're going to continue watching you.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Loyalty means a lot at Ackerman Toyota. That's why during COVID, Ackerman refused to charge over sticker price, while others did. Ackerman stayed true to their customers, selling at or below manufacturer suggested prices. Ackerman will get you what you want, and the service department has the same spirit. You come first. And thank you for making Ackerman Toyota number one in 2023. Ackerman Toyota, AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota for life.
Tired of talk about election integrity? Shane Scholler takes action. As the chief election authority in one of Missouri's largest counties, Shane's proven plan stops non-citizens from voting and secures our elections. A lifelong conservative, Shane stands firm, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, and ready to protect your vote on day one. Don't just talk about stopping fraud. Elect someone who's done it. Shane Scholler for Secretary of State. Learn more at ShaneForSOS.com.
Paid for by Scholler from Missouri, Justin Hill, Treasurer.
You want to give someone something which they will really enjoy? Give them a Cafe Napoli gift card. You pick the amount, and they pick which of the Cafe Napolis they want to visit. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Cafe Napoli in Town and Country, Napoli 3 on the streets of St. Charles, or right next door, Napoli C. The Napoli gift card. It's the perfect gift for anyone or your entire office. Cafe Napoli. Cafe Napoli.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Congressional candidate Bob Onder going to be joining us in person at 7:35 on Thursday. We're going to be at PJ's Coffee in O'Fallon. You should join us. Come on out.
Mornings starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL.
Let's go tonight. Share the spice of life. And it's spice of life.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 119.94.1 News Talk STL. Got producer Ethan in the studio. Got Senator Nick Schroer in the studio today. Man, we've been...
It's a hot hump day today,
Wednesday,
too.
It is. It's a dry hump day. And we've been all over the place, as we are every Wednesday afternoon and really every day these days. So if you missed any of it, we had a great conversation with Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd in the 2 o'clock hour. Just had a fun Close's Cabinet with Mark Close and Skip Weber. If you're not already, make sure you're subscribed to the Colombo and Company podcast. We put the show out as a podcast right after we get off the air every day on basically every podcast platform. And it's the best way to make sure you never miss anything that happens here on the show. All right, Nick, as I said, we got to get back into the headlines here after a little fun with the guys. New video from the Trump rally where the assassination attempt took place shows the shooter on the roof right before he opened fire. This is brand new video that is out there now. And if this interests you, I recommend you go and look it up. But it is creepy because you really see how close the shooter was, and what a clear shot he had at President Trump. The video is from James Copenhaver, who was one of the victims who was critically wounded by those shots. He just happened to be taking video, moments before the Thomas Crooks opened fire, and unintentionally in the background caught the movement. You said you saw the video.
Yeah, I saw it right before we got on air.
You can see him moving on the roof. And like I said, what really stands out to me is you get a true view of what a clear, unobstructed, open shot it was, and how truly close he was to the president. And just like I mentioned earlier, it just every day there's more questions being raised than there are being answered.
Well, you see the line of the roof, the roof that the former head of Secret Service said was too slanted. You see him walking briskly on the top of it, and then you see him climbing over that top and then climbing down into his position where he ultimately took the life of one individual, shot, I think, 2 other people, shot Donald Trump. It's maddening to think, knowing, I mean, even listening to Justin Sparks and other law enforcement officers and other consultants that are out there saying, look, this should have never happened. In any other administration, this would have never happened. And I think that's why you have a bipartisan group grilling the Secret Service, because it's not going to stop. It's going to set the tone, like the broken windows theory in criminal justice, where if you let one of these things go by, it's going to encourage more and more people to do more egregious behavior.
Are you confident that we are going to get the real answers and that people are going to be held accountable for this, just obvious dereliction of duty and gross negligence?
In my lifetime, probably not. I think when we get the full story on JFK, maybe we'll get the full story on this, because I think this is hearing all of the different things. And, a lot of people in the know are predicting another assassination attempt before November. And some of that information is based on what they've seen, what they've read, certain emails from Secret Service that went around that are now deleted. We're going to dive into this Sunday on Stand and Fight. And it's sickening to think, could certain people in the government have been involved? And I'm not saying actively involved, like putting the gun in the guy's hand and letting him climb on the roof, but I'm saying they knew something and decided to do nothing.
Yeah. We're almost out of time here. As Nick mentioned, of course, you can hear his show every Sunday night here on News Talk STL, Stand and Fight. You'll be back with me on Wednesday next week. Hopefully we can check with you on Tuesday night during our election coverage. But since this is the last time we'll probably talk on the air between now and Election Day, last quick thoughts about the importance of this primary election happening on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, if you're sick and tired of the crime that's spreading, if you're sick and tired of the federal overreach, if you're sick and tired of paying rent every December and the increase in taxes, the increase in cost of everything, if you are a liberty-loving individual and you want to see us growing like Tennessee has done, like Kansas has done, like Texas has done, like Florida has done, get out and vote. And not only do that, but encourage your friends, your family, and everyone else to do so. Stop sitting on the sidelines. Stop being the silent majority. Read your Constitution and speak up about how important this is.
Well said. That is Missouri Senator Nick Schroer. Thank you for all of your help today.
Well, thank you for showing the Jesus documentary.
you bet.
Love it.
We'll talk to you again very, very soon. I'll be back tomorrow at 2. In the meantime, keep it here for the O'Reilly Report. Next, followed by the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Re-elect State Representative Tony Lavasco. Tony Lavasco eliminated licenses for home-based businesses. Tony Lavasco, rated 100% by the American Conservative Union. Tony Lavasco, the only candidate endorsed by Missouri Right to Life and by the NRA. Tony Lavasco, the only choice for small, limited government. On August 6th, vote Liberty. Vote Lavasco.